And there should be some people like this woman who are pretty unhappy with the Democratic Party. And as we've already explained, we support all peaceful protesters at the DNC, both sides. And we think that they should make their voices heard because this is the time to do it. This is their party nomination. So they have to make sure that their voice is represented in the person that they're nominating. And so here's a little bit of a conversation from this woman who says, listen, things are going to be a little spicy over here.
Pretty clear in his support for Israel in the past. And we know that. In the past, he has refused to meet with Palestinian families who want to talk about Gaza. He has refused to divest from Israeli bonds and banks. And we know that. We do want to meet with the vice president because she's shown a willingness to learn and to move. And we know that Tim Walz has obviously done a little bit of the same. We know right now, going into November, that we cannot win this election without the nearly 1 million voters who voted alongside us during the primaries. During the primaries, 46,000 Minnesotans voted saying that they wanted the war in Gaza to stop. And we know that those people may not even show up to the polls in November. They have no reason to show up.
That's right.
If there is no ceasefire and no arms embargo by November.
Yeah, they should be outraged. They should stay home for sure and not show up to the polls because things are ridiculous and the Democratic Party doesn't represent them. So here is now Tulsi, who was responsible for really going after Kamala back during her time running for the presidency when she failed epically. This is what she says about her capabilities being an empty suit. And I think that's exactly right. We're going to see a lot more of this when we actually get some substance from Kamala.
Just want to play this clip of you on stage with Kamala Harris from, I guess it's 4 or 5 years ago now, and ask you a very specific question about this exchange. Roll it here.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
I am proud of that work, and I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
So that was quite the moment, July of 2019.
That was great.
You gave an interview to the AP saying all you had to do was Google that information.
Yeah.
And that you were surprised that her comeback was not more effective. What do you mean by that?
She really didn't have a comeback. I think she revealed in that debate the same thing that I think her campaign handlers are worried about right now is Kamala Harris is an empty suit. They are trying to create this new version of Kamala Harris to match what their pollsters are telling them so she can say whatever she needs to say to try to win over voters, which is the most.
And it's interesting because I don't think there'll be a penalty for this from the left. Like, the left knows what they're doing. And this is what is so interesting, the distinction between the left and the right. Like, many different contingencies on the right just can't just zip it for an election and just understand this is an election. You have to get on the board. You're not going to get 100% of everything that you want, but if you're getting 60% from this candidate, just get on board and we'll try to see what we can do after we win the election, right? And there's a bunch of these little fractures and fissures and everybody's got these little warring factions going on. It's come on. All right. Democrats don't do that at all, right? They just shut up. They're like, okay, Kamala has to say whatever she has to say.